$1, is this some kind of joke? Her hands trembled as she unfolded the crumpled bill left neatly under the glass. The billionaire had walked out without a word, his designer shoes echoing against the marble floor, leaving behind nothing but a single dollar. Around her, whispers began, some mocking, some pitying, but her chest tightened with a mix of anger, shame, and disbelief. She worked double shifts to keep food on the table, yet to him, her service was worth less than a cup of coffee. But what she did next, no one in that restaurant could have seen coming. Would you? Before that single-dollar bill shattered her world, Alicia Johnson lived a life most people overlooked. She was 27, a mother of one, and a waitress at an upscale downtown restaurant that prided itself on serving the elite. Every day she tied her hair back, slipped on the same worn shoes, and walked into a place that gleamed with crystal chandeliers and polished marble floors, a world of wealth she could serve but never touch. Her co-workers liked her. She was quick with a smile, quicker with a refill, but the truth was, Alicia carried more weight than anyone knew. Rent was late. Her son's asthma medication wasn't cheap, and no matter how many double shifts she picked up, it always seemed like she was one bill away from drowning. She had learned to swallow her pride, to bite her tongue when customers dismissed her, when they called her girl instead of her name, when their eyes skimmed past her like she was invisible. It wasn't new. Racism had trailed her from school hallways to job interviews, quiet and cutting, but she had always kept her head high. That night, though, something felt different. The billionaire had walked in with an entourage, his watch sparkling under the chandelier lights. Alicia had served him with the same care she gave every guest, hoping maybe this table would be the one that left a tip big enough to buy groceries for the week. Instead, he left her $1, and that insult would spark a chain of events no one could have predicted. Alicia stared at the single dollar, her heart pounding in her chest. At first, she thought it had to be a mistake. Maybe the billionaire had meant to leave more, maybe he dropped the rest on the floor. But no, his glass was empty, his chair pushed in, his party already gone. Just $1. Her co-worker, Mark, leaned over and whispered, half joking, "Guess he thinks you should be grateful for pocket change." A couple at the next table chuckled. The laughter stung worse than the insult itself. Alicia forced a tight smile, but her throat burned. She folded the bill in her hand, trying to keep her composure, but the humiliation only grew. She remembered every shift where customers ignored her, every time someone assumed she wasn't smart enough, capable enough, worthy enough. This wasn't just a cheap tip, it was a message. The billionaire had looked her in the eye when she poured his wine. He had looked at her when she carefully balanced tray after tray. He knew, and he chose to leave $1. The restaurant manager, Mr. Langford, noticed her trembling hands and frowned. "What's the problem?" he asked, glancing at the table. When she explained, his response was a shrug. "He's a billionaire, Alicia. If that's what he left, take it and move on. Don't make a scene." Move on, Alicia wanted to scream. She wanted to shout that her dignity wasn't worth a single dollar bill. But in that moment, she felt the walls of the restaurant close in, the chandeliers, the polished floors, the silent stares of diners who pretended not to hear. Her mind flashed to her son, Malik, waiting at home. She thought of the asthma inhaler she had almost put back on the pharmacy shelf because the money wasn't enough. That $1 wouldn't even cover the bus fare she used to get to work. She slipped it into her apron pocket, but her decision was already forming. If her manager wouldn't stand up for her, if this billionaire thought he could walk out without consequence, then maybe it was time someone reminded him that dignity wasn't for sale. Her pulse quickened. She caught a glimpse of him across the lobby, surrounded by his entourage as they laughed and snapped photos on their phones. He didn't look back at her once. Alicia inhaled deeply, every step toward him heavy but deliberate. What if this cost her the job? What if she got fired? The fear was real, but so was the fire inside her. She clutched the $1 in her fist until the paper wrinkled and her palm grew damp. As she crossed the polished marble floor, her co-workers whispered, her manager shook his head, but Alicia kept walking. By the time she reached the billionaire, her voice was steady, her eyes unblinking. She placed the $1 back on the table in front of him. And then she said something that silenced the entire lobby. The lobby fell silent. Crystal glasses clinked to a halt, and even the piano music in the corner seemed to fade as Alicia set the wrinkled dollar down in front of the billionaire. Her voice cut through the hush, low but sharp. This is what you think my work is worth. $1, my time, my respect, my dignity, $1. The billionaire glanced at her with a smirk, then leaned back in his chair. His friends chuckled under their breath, pulling out their phones, recording like it was some kind of show. Alicia's chest tightened. They're laughing at me. The humiliation burned, but she didn't back down. I served you with respect, she continued, her voice trembling but growing louder. I carried trays heavier than my rent, smiled when I was tired, treated you like a person. But you, she pointed at the crumpled bill, you decided I was worth less than nothing. The billionaire raised his glass, swirling the wine. Maybe you should be grateful, he said smoothly. Some people don't even get that much. Gasps echoed through the room. The words struck like a slap, sharp and unapologetic. Alicia felt her knees weaken, but anger held her upright. Her manager rushed over, hissing under his breath, Alicia, stop this right now, you'll lose your job. But she didn't move, not an inch. Her son's face flashed in her mind, Malik, struggling to breathe during his asthma attacks. The bills piling up, the exhaustion of fighting to be seen, to be heard, every single day. Her voice steadied, no, I won't stop, not tonight. The billionaire's smirk faltered just slightly. The crowd leaned in, phones raised higher. Alicia took a deep breath, looked him square in the eye, and said the one sentence that would change everything. Alicia's words echoed through the lobby, her voice steady, almost defiant. You may have more money than I'll ever see in my lifetime, but you will never be richer than me in dignity. For a long, unbearable moment, no one moved. The billionaire shifted uncomfortably, his smirk gone, his entourage suddenly quiet. Phones captured every second. The manager tried to usher Alicia away, but the damage, to him, was already done. The restaurant would be buzzing about this night for weeks, maybe longer. Alicia didn't wait for applause. She didn't need validation. She turned, walked past the polished tables, and pushed open the heavy glass doors into the cool night air. Outside, the city hummed like nothing had happened, but to her, everything had changed. Yes, she might lose her job. Yes, tomorrow could be harder than today. But in that moment, Alicia realized something powerful. Silence only protects those who cause the harm. And for the first time in a long time, she chose not to stay silent. The dollar was never about money, it was about worth. About how society still devalues people who look like Alicia, who live like Alicia, who fight every day just to be seen. And while her stand that night didn't erase the injustice, it shined a light on it, raw and undeniable. So here's the question. How many times have voices like Alicia's gone unheard? How many times has dignity been traded for silence? Racism isn't always shouted. It slipped into moments like a dollar bill on a polished table. And until more people are willing to speak, to act, to refuse to accept the insult of being unseen, the story will keep repeating. The real question is, when it happens again, will you stay silent or will you speak?